El exec, el exec, el exec. El Vele, el Vele. El fenómeno que todos quieren ser. El chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 151 of the Exec Talk Podcast. Yes, I said 151. We didn't skip 150. I just said that it was 149 because I had gotten mixed up because we missed 3 weeks. So I kind of messed up the last one. It says 149. It's actually 150. This is 151. So let's celebrate 150 real quick. Woo! 150! Amen to 900 more plus. Hopefully, either on Fox, ESPN, Bleacher Report, 33rd team, anybody who wants to contract me because I be cooking. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment. Love the support. God bless you guys. Let's get cracking. What are we going to talk about today? Well, today, we're going to roast. There's some roasting sessions going on. You know why? Because we passed week 10 of the NFL season. You know what that means? Some of these teams are absolute dumpster fires. Doo-doo ka-choo. Okay? Garbage mistache. Throw them in the trash. Blow them up. Ejectocito, cuz. You know what I'm saying? Like if you've ever seen Too Fast, Too Furious with Tyrese. You know? Ejectocito. Because you got to eject from these bad situations. Whether it's coaching, whether it's players, whether it's decision making, play calling, ownership, GM, all of the above. Yeah, we're going to roast some teams. And I know it's going to be some of your favorite teams. We're also going to talk about some teams that won, that people are hyping up way too much. Okay? You guys know who you are. No, you don't have a chance of reaching the Super Bowl. Okay? Just because your team looks good and you have one way to win, and we're going to get to that, but no. Okay? We're also going to talk about NASCAR had his championship weekend, and unfortunately, Joey Logano won. Yes, I didn't want Joey Logano to win. I didn't want any Ford to win. I didn't want Blaney to win or Joey Logano to win. Unfortunately, they both dominated the race. Okay? William Byron did not have the speed. Tyler Reddick was as slow as molasses. It was unfortunate. I saw it with my dad, and we just kept looking at each other, and we were like, yeah, it looks like we're not going to get our wish this year and a third straight championship for Ford. That's another thing we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a quarterback that has been horrible, got paid, and is now out for the season with a torn hamstring. Yes, you know who that is. Good old number 4 for your cowgirls because they're not boys no more. They're cowgirls. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about some injuries in the NBA and my thoughts on a first pick and a second pick that have been way too injury prone for my liking, considering that they should be two of the biggest superstars in the sport, and they're just not getting it done health-wise. Okay? Chet is out for an extended period of time. We're going to talk about how that happened. And then we're also going to hit on the predictions that we hit and ones we did not hit. We're going to hit on the fact that Florida sucks this weekend in particular. Florida football, from college to professional. We are doo-doo, okay? 0-11. Hopefully the Miami Dolphins pick us up tonight. But guess what? My prediction is the Rams. Why? I'll tell you why. I don't think we got anybody to block Jared Verse or Braden Fisk or Byron Young. That defensive line is young, but it's playing well. And I don't think we have anybody to cover both Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, along with dealing with Matthew Stafford and Kyren Williams. Okay? It's in LA. It's in warm weather. I'm not worried about that. But, you know, Tyreek is a game-time decision. Game-time decision with the wrist. Supposedly he's going to play. Supposedly we're going to run the ball. Okay? But, unfortunately, we are at a disadvantage quarterback-wise. And according to this season, I'm not going to say we're at a disadvantage receiver-wise, but kind of are. Just a little bit. I love Tyreek. I love Jalen Waddle. But what I've seen this year, even with Tua, I don't like, especially for Jalen Waddle. Not enough involvement. Not enough. Okay? And then we're going to talk about, of course, the news about Roki Sasaki, the excellent 23-year-old pitcher from Japan, possibly coming over, possibly going to get a bag, possibly not being able to get a bag, possibly going to get the Ohtani treatment, getting $7 million. But he wants to be here so bad that he doesn't care because he's going to get that big contract anyway. Okay? The guy he's skinny as a string bean, but throws over 100 miles an hour, has another nasty split, just like every Japanese nasty pitcher has, a nasty forkball, a nasty slider. So he's going to be nasty here when he comes. I don't know if he's coming, but it seems through the grapevines so far through the offseason that he is making the move to come to the major leagues. Although he's going to be forfeiting a lot of money because, they'll contract in the stipulation from Japan to here. He has to be 25 or 27 to come over here to get a full contract. I don't think he cares. I think he knows that he's that good. He's already polished himself over there in Japan. He wants to come to the big boy league. He's seen Ohtani. He's seen Yamamoto. Before that, he's seen Yu Darvish, Ichiro. So he wants to be that next great Japanese player and pitcher to come over here and have success. All right. So let's start with NASCAR. All right. Joey Logano holds off his Penske teammate Ryan Blaney to win his third NASCAR championship, putting him in some pretty rare company. Third one for Ford. Basically 3 years in a row, Ford has won. It was Logano, Blaney, Logano. That has been the last three championships. So it's Penske. Penske has had a year for the ages in motorsports. Won the Daytona 24 in IMSA. Won the IMSA championship. Won Lamar 24. Won the NASCAR championship. Won the Indy 500 championship. The Indy championship and won the Indy 500. It's been an absolute dominant year for Team Penske. And that's just what the guy that's known as the captain, Roger Penske, that's what he expects. He's kind of like Richard Hendrick. He's kind of like Rick Hendrick. He's like, I'll give you everything you need so you have no excuses to not be the best and not win. Okay? That's what Roger Penske is. And he's been like that forever since the 60s, since he ran the Porsches at Le Mans, the 993s and stuff like that. So they go to Phoenix, right? And I was talking to my dad about this, and I was like, I don't think Phoenix is a great racetrack to finish the NASCAR season on. I think it's too short. It's a mile. It kind of runs like a short track. Yes, there's the giant short chute that goes through the apron on turn one, and that's exciting, especially for restarts. But I need a track that has some legitimate speed for people to pick up speed. Okay? Texas, Chicago, Atlanta. I'm not going to say Daytona, Talladega. Daytona, you run twice. Talladega, you won basically 3 times. I understand nobody wants to go over there. It's too much of a crapshoot to have a championship race end there. I understand. Charlotte, even though we raced there a lot. Las Vegas, another good track. Even Pocono, even the Tricky Triangle, that would be a nice track to end it on. But I think Phoenix is just, it's too short. It's too short. I think you would want a race that really pushed the drivers and the cars. That's just my personal opinion. They're probably not going to change it. They've had good results there. But considering that the last 3 years Penske has dominated at the track, maybe they change it. But it was a great race nonetheless. Not many cautions. One important caution, but it didn't help nobody because Ryan Blaney and Logano were too fast. Okay, they were legitimately the 2 fastest cars in the whole race. Reddick was as fast as the Toad. You know how the hare and the turtle? Remember how the turtle was slow, but he won the race? Nah, that didn't happen. The hare won the race this time. Okay? The hare won the race this time. And it was unfortunate because I wanted Reddick to win for Jordan and everything, but boy, he was slow. He was 11th, 10th. He was 10th, 11th, 12th. Even when he was 5th, he just couldn't catch up. He would fall back. Same thing with William Byron. Got up as high as 2nd, and even was 1st and got passed immediately on the restart. I mean, it was the difference in speed between Penske, Hendrick, and 2311, which is Reddick, was staggering. It wasn't even really a competition for the championship, to be honest. As soon as Blaney and Logano went to the front, it was pretty eminent and unfortunately pretty cemented that one of those two was going to win the championship. Logano had the lead with about 40 laps to go after the last pit stops. Blaney, a caution happened. William Byron had three lap old tires. Every single one of the three came in to get new tires, gave up a little bit of track position, but it wasn't that much. And Logano at the restart just absolutely slingshotted himself first, while Byron was basically competing with Christopher Bell because he was trying to prove a point. And he was fast at the beginning, but them Fords caught him, and that was wraps. So Logano takes the lead. Blaney has to get through some traffic. Does it really well. Just keeps eating 3/10 a lap, 4/10 a lap, every lap, until he gets to the back bumper of Logano with about 20 laps to go. And this was 15 laps of just 3/10, 4/10, 1/10. 3/10, 4/10, 1/10. Corner by corner they would go. Logano would come through traffic. They would get close, but he could never get under the quarter panel. And that's one thing about Phoenix that I don't like. The only way to pass at Phoenix is going under, overdriving the corner, and hoping and praying that when you come out of the corner, you are on the left quarter panel of your opponent. The right rear left quarter panel. If you're not there, you're not passing him. He's going in front of you. He's going to have momentum going on the high side, and you're just not catching him. Okay? And that's what happened to Blaney. Blaney got up all the way to about a 10th and a half to Logano's back bumper, but every single time he went for a move to try to get to that quarter panel, Logano, being the veteran he is and the great, because now he has 3 championships, he's legitimately Hall of Fame and one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR history. Just put the car right on the nose. Another thing about Phoenix, clean air is king. Okay, it's just like the Formula One adage. Clean air is king. And at Phoenix, it cannot be more just prominent. You can see it, how clean air is king. If you see a car in clean air and it's a fast car, nobody's going to catch it. They're pulling 2-3 a lap. When they get into traffic, lap traffic more specifically, I mean, Blaney caught him in 4 laps. And he was a second and a half back when he passed Byron. Because he passed Byron. Byron was second. He passed Byron. And then, he chased Logano down. And me and my dad thought that he was going to chase him down. When he got to that back bumper, boy, did Logano make it tough on him. And he just maneuvered his car and positioned his car like a veteran does, just enough in front just to take that clean air away, make it dirty, make it turbulent, so he couldn't get to that quarter panel. And it was like that for 15 laps until Logano won the race and won the championship. Congratulations, Joey Logano, on your 3rd championship. Okay? I've been seeing you since you came in the 20. You took over for Smoke, for Tony Stewart in the 20 for Home Depot. I remember it like it was yesterday when me and my dad saw him race. We're like, who's this kid? And they said, this kid's going to be a future champion. He has some of the best talent that we've ever seen from a youngster. That was when he was 18 or 21, one of the two. And now he's a full-fledged legend. He's going to keep winning. He has a good car, good team, and he just knows how to race. He's a really good racer. So shout out to Joey Logano. It was a hell of a NASCAR season. Passing of the torch, if you will. Reddick having the regular season championship. The youngsters finally showing their mettle in throughout the season. You had your Reddicks and you had your Bowmans, Christopher Bell, which will win a championship in the future. Ty Gibbs, watch out for Ty Gibbs next year. Dark Horse Championship not favorite, but Dark Horse Championship pick next year. I believe that he's going to make the right strides, take in what he learned this season, and really come back with a vengeance next season because he was so close to winning a lot of races this year. I expect Kyle Busch and Richard Childress Racing to come back also with a vengeance, a more focused plan. Hendrick is always going to be there, especially Kyle Larson. I expect Bowman to be good next year because he got a little bit of taste of that success after winning during the countdown and even before the countdown, winning the road course, I believe. Reddick is going to be there. He's going to be a heavy, one of the heavy favorites. Larson, Elliott, I expect to be there. Logano's going to be there. Maybe Keselowski. We got to see how RFK does. Haas is not. Stuart Haas is completely absorbing himself. That was the last race of Stuart Haas Racing. I believe they're only staying with one car, if I'm not mistaken, or none. Rookies next year, or not rookies. Rookies this year that could be a factor next year. Carson Hocevar could be a guy. Daniel Hemrick could be a guy next year that makes some noise as a youngster. But I expect now the group that we have now, the Christopher Bells, the Tyler Reddicks, still with Joey Logano. He's not going nowhere anytime soon. The Ryan Blaney's, your Bowmans, your Elliott's, your Byrons. I expect Byron to come back with a vengeance and try to go for that championship. Everybody's like 26, 29, 30. They're all young. It could be like a 10, 15-year real battle here for championships. So we'll see who reigns supreme after this era. But we got a nice crop of really talented drivers to take us into the new era of NASCAR. Now that Martin Truex, shout out on a legendary career, Hall of Famer, champion. I remember him when I first started seeing him when he first ran the one for DEI, for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, way back in the day. Phoenix was his last race. He started on pole, didn't keep it, unfortunately, because the Fords were so fast. But a hell of a career and definitely going to be a Hall of Famer in the future. Whatever he does, he's going to be great at it. He's a great driver. If he goes to GT racing, if he wants to do any type of racing, he's a great racer, especially on road courses. So I expect him to maybe do something in racing. If not, maybe do something in ownership, stay within the realm of the world because he is beloved and respected, especially in that JGR, Joe Gibbs racing team. Maybe go his hand at, I don't think he'll be a crew chief, but maybe be an advisor, a vice president, kind of like a Jeff Gordon role or a Jimmy Johnson role before he started Legacy Motorsport. Maybe go on a joint venture with somebody, maybe with Furniture Row or Front Row Motorsports to maybe become part owner. You never know, but he's a legend. And shout out to him that he was one of the last ones of the last era that was still racing. The only one left of the last era is Kyle Busch. That's it. There's nobody else. Harvick is gone. Johnson's gone. I mean, you go down the line, Carl Edwards has been gone for a while. Smoke is gone. Like the last era of drivers, the guys that I grew up watching and saw their whole careers are officially almost done, except Kyle Busch. And I expect Kyle Busch to maybe race for considering how much he loves it, but he hates losing. Maybe like 2 more years max, maybe. His brother already retired. Jimmy's just running certain races for the team that he owns, Legacy Motorsport. I expect them to be better next year. I don't know if they'll be competing, but I expect them to be better. But yeah, hell of a NASCAR season. Really exciting races. Some of the greatest finishes that we've seen. Crashes galore on some tracks like Talladega, like Daytona. Great road course racing. A great championship battle from 12 to 4 and ultimately to Logano, the champion. And also in Xfinity, a great championship for Justin Allgaier. Looked bleak at certain points during Phoenix. He was a lap down, made a mistake in trying to race for the win in the second stage. Really not smart. Got behind, got a lucky caution, got back on the lead lap and just chased him down. And won the championship. He got second because Riley Herbst won the race, his second race win. But man, he passed Cole Custer and he took it home after 7 years in the championship 4. He finally gets it done. The first guy to hug him, team owner Dale Earnhardt Jr. that believed in him since he was a kid, since he was young. So shout out Justin Allgaier on his first Xfinity championship. Do I expect him to go up in class? Yes. At this point, once you win an Xfinity championship, you kind of conquer that series. I expect him to maybe get a ride, but right now all the rides are kind of taken. Some people don't know what their futures are, so we'll see what happens here in silly season in the as the offseason moves towards Daytona in February. But thank you to NASCAR for a great season, as always, and can't wait to get back to Daytona in February for the great American race once again. All right. Let's get to NCAA. Boy, we had some games this week that, I mean, if I tell you that were interesting, that is an understatement. We had some losses. We also had some wins that were, I mean, questionable at best. Starting with Ohio State 45-0 Purdue. Yeah, we expected that. Okay, Ohio State's test next is after Indiana. Kirk Cignetti has them undefeated. They won this past week against Michigan, like I said they would. They won 20-15. It was close. Michigan could have won at the end, but Warren couldn't complete the pass. So. Indiana survives. They're now number 5, I believe, on the AP poll, on the top 12. Ohio State 45-0, stay at number 2 over Purdue. Miami loses to Georgia Tech in stunning fashion. Okay. I don't understand why you have so much talent, so many 5 stars. You've won that many games and you still come out slow in the first half. They fall behind. They think they could come back. And that Georgia Tech defense stood up, forced a turnover at the end when UM had a chance to go down. And immediately, first 2 plays, nothing happens. 3rd and 9, I believe. And, Cam is trying to find somebody. Kind of misses Horton being open, but then gets strip sacked, and basically the game is over, 28-23. Miami season is basically over. They can still go to the ACC championship. But as for Cam Ward, unless he does a Herculean effort for the rest of the season, the Heisman hopes are basically dashed. They're gone. Now it's between, I believe, Travis Hunter, Dylan Gabriel, and Ashton Genty for that prestigious award. Let's get to the absolute beatdown that is 49-17. Texas beat Florida. I'm going to say it. I'm a fellow Gator, and this is one of the worst run programs, not only in the SEC, in the country. There's no way that we have this much talent, even though we get talent drained by Alabama, Georgia, now Texas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Tennessee. We're getting absolutely talent drained, and UM as well, from a standpoint of quarterback, receiver, offensive line, which we have none. We're not the superpower we used to be. The last great Florida team, I'm going to say, I think it was 2008. I think it was the Tim Tebow year. That's just me. I was there 2014 and saw the Trayon Harris, saw the Driscoll, saw the beginning of Felipe Franks. I mean, I've seen some bad football with this team. Okay, people say that maybe the Kyle Trask year, but you see what Kyle Trask is in the NFL. I don't think that was all that. We keep putting people in the league, but as for being a program to be proud to be a Florida Gator, that shit has sailed. Okay, that shit has sailed. That ship is no longer in the dock. We are in the middle of the ocean with no wind. Okay, we are not moving. We are anchored down. Okay. Ole Miss beats Georgia 28-10. Georgia goes down as the number 3 team. People have been saying it. You know, is Carson Beck the guy? You have a lot of talent on this team. You have a lot of talent on the defensive side. But if Ole Miss can out-tempo you to death and Jackson Arnold on a bum ankle beats you 28-10, something's going on. From back-to-back national championships to possibly missing the playoffs, they're not in the top 5 right now when it comes to the playoff predictor of the SEC. They're not in it right now, so they have to win out and hope that either Texas loses or Ole Miss loses or A&M loses to them creep back in, because right now they are not in the playoff hunt. Like I said, Indiana beat Michigan. Iowa State loses to Kansas 45-36. Another devastating loss to Iowa State. This basically destroys their Big 12 championship hopes because BYU is still undefeated and Colorado is still only a 1-loss team. So Iowa State, the Cyclones, they put up a good fight, but to give 45 up, and I love Jalen Daniels, the quarterback for Kansas. They haven't been good this year, but I think that kid at the next level has a chance to be something special. So 45-36, that is tough for Iowa. Army stays undefeated 14-3 versus North Texas. That means that they're going to go against Navy undefeated. I believe that's their next game, if not the game after that. That's going to be interesting because if they win out completely, they have a chance to go into the top 12 because of that at-large bid for the top 5 conference champions that are not in the Big 12, Big 10, SEC, ACC. After that, you got the American. I think they're in an American conference, if I'm not mistaken. So they're 9-0, and their biggest test probably will be against Navy. Clemson beats Virginia Tech 24-14. 7-2 Clemson. They still kind of have a shot to go to the ACC championship, but they need some help. We'll see what happens. Colorado beats Texas Tech 41-27. I personally saw this game. They took over in the second half like they usually have done. They have an inside track to the Big 12 championship now against BYU. They have to win out, though. And I believe they have some tough matchups coming up, including this upcoming week, Saturday at 12 on Fox. First game of the day against Utah. It's in Boulder. It's going to be rocking. Utah coming off a tough 1-point loss against BYU after leading most of the game. They got to go to Kansas. And then they got to face Oklahoma State. If they get past Utah, they can beat Kansas. They can beat Oklahoma State. They have to get past the Utes, though. I'm not predicting that yet. That will be on the Thursday's episode. Travis Hunter, to me, is the leading candidate for the Heisman. At this point, nobody's doing what he's doing. They're rolling. They have a chance to make it to the playoffs. I think everything that you need there is checked. He's playing great defense, and he's balling on offense. He caught another touchdown, I believe. I don't think he went over 100, but he was close in this game. Shador went for 291, 30 for 43, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He probably is the number one pick, the number one quarterback going off the board, possibly the number one pick, depending on who is that team. At the top, they couldn't run the ball worth a shit. 27 carries for 60 yards. That's 2.2 yards a carry. That's not going to cut it. Travis Hunter went 9 receptions for 99 yards and a touchdown, so he's still very much in line to win the Heisman. Okay? We got Oregon beating Maryland 39-18. Oregon just steamrolling people. Next they have, I'll tell you guys right now what's their next opponent. They got Wisconsin in Wisconsin, and then they go to Washington and it's going to be at Eugene. I think that they're going to win out. They're going to be the number 1 seed, and they're going to face the 12 seed. And they have a real shot this year to win the first championship in school history. They've been so close. They've made it to the national championship. They made it to semifinals. Even before the college playoff, they made it to the Rose Bowl. They've come so close. This year might be the year with Dylan Gabriel for that championship. Tennessee, not destroys, but 33-14, pretty handily beats Mississippi State. They're 7. They also have a kind of inside track with 1 loss to the SEC championship against Texas, but they have to win out. I believe they have to win out in order to make that happen. Bama looks like they want to be an at-large bid. They have 2 losses, but they destroy LSU 42-13. We have found the next great running quarterback. I put him in the elk not of Jalen Hurts. I put him in the elk more like a Kyler Murray. I don't put Jalen Milroe in the category of a Lamar, because I believe Lamar is just a different type of cheat code. Kyler is too, but the speed of those 3 players, I believe, is similar. I believe maybe Jalen Milroe at the combine will run if he runs, because these fast quarterbacks have not run in the last 4 years, because Jaden Daniels didn't run, Lamar didn't run, K1 didn't run, so they haven't run. I think that he is a low 4.4, possibly mid 4.3 dude, weighing 205, 210, moving. With wiggle and an arm. So he might be, I don't want to say he might be the second quarterback taken off the board, because I feel like the scouts are going to value Cam Ward's arm strength and poise more, but he's definitely most likely going in the first round. I don't think anybody lets this kid slip if they have a shot at him. Team honestly, let's say the Giants are there at 5 because maybe, you got a team you got the Patriots, maybe 1 or 2. You still got the Panthers that could possibly just lose out completely. You have the Giants. You have the Jags. The Raiders. So there's some bad football teams. I mean, there's a lot of bad football teams. Let me not even understate that. But I think Jalen Milroe is definitely a first-round pick, if not early second round. If there's questions about his arm, which I don't think there is, to be honest. He throws a great deep ball. He's played at Alabama. He's Saban coached, Saban recruited, so he has the right stuff. I think that he goes, to me, he would go pretty high in the draft. That's just me, though. LSU got absolutely mollywopped at their house in a night game, which doesn't happen often, even though it was against Alabama. Alabama came in 5-1 against Alabama in night games at LSU. Coming into this game, 4 rushing touchdowns for Jalen Milroe. Absolutely torched them from the first get-go. They didn't have no answer, and they just got rocked. LSU's basically out of the playoff picture. It's over. They have 3 losses in the SEC. You're done. Missouri beats Oklahoma. That knocks out Oklahoma with having 5 losses already. Missouri maybe has a shot, but they're 7-2 right now. They've lost. They lost to Bama, and they also lost to Texas A&M. So I don't think, they have to beat South Carolina, beat Mississippi State, and then beat Arkansas, and then hope that Texas or A&M or Bama slip one more time to maybe make it in there. Penn State beat Washington. They stay undefeated. Actually, they stay with the one loss. They still have the inside track for the Big Ten championship against Ohio State. That would be the matchup. I think that's going to stay like that. They still have some big games coming up. I believe they're going to destroy Purdue. They have to beat Minnesota, and then they face Maryland. So they should win out. If they do win out, then it's going to be Ohio State, Penn State, Big Ten championship. And the winner from there is a top 4 seed in the college football playoff. Boise State beats Nevada 28-21. Ashton Jeanty runs for another 209, 3 TDs. He is on pace to break Barry Sanders' record. He is on pace. Boise at 8-1. They're 12 right now. They will go up. I believe that they have the best inside track besides Army, even though they're lower than them, to face to take one of those spots for the at-large bids of the top 5 conference champions. But we'll see, because they still have to face. They still have to face. I'll tell you guys right now. Still have to face San Jose State. They should win that. Wyoming, they should win that. And then they got Oregon State. They should win out. They should be in the college football playoff. BYU, like I said, beat Utah. Pitt lost again, so they're out. Completely out. Pitt has now 2 losses in the ACC. They're done. They lost to a Virginia team that's now 5-4, 24-19. And then BYU beat Utah. They were losing all game, came back 22-21 on a game-winning field goal. They stay undefeated, which gives them the inside path to get to the college football playoff if they win out. They got Arizona State left, they got Kansas left at home, and then they got Houston. That Arizona State game is probably going to be their toughest. It's in Arizona State, so we'll see how they do against the Sun Devils. But if they win out, they're another team that's in that top 12. And then Washington State beats Utah State 39-28. Washington State is 8-1, so they have a shot as well to be in that top 12. And then Notre Dame stays with 1 loss. They're independent though, but they can also be in the top 12 because of they beat FSU 52. This is one of the most disgusting destructions of for the team I've ever seen. FSU was absolutely atrociously awful, from being undefeated last year to almost making the college football playoff. 1-9 is atrocious. Okay, Riley Leonard runs for 2. He throws a TD. That's another kid. That's more like a Josh Allen type of quarterback. Drake May. It's in that mold. Big, physical, can run. Would rather run than pass at this point in his career. But he can get developed into a Josh Allen, into a possibly a Justin Hurt, into a Drake May if Drake develops how he's supposed to. Big, physical runner, very Josh Allen-like and type. That was it for college. Very, very eventful weekend. A lot of shifting to happen in the upcoming weeks. All right, time to get the NFL. First, before we get to these games, we're going to get to the fact that Dak got paid $60 million a year and tore his hamstring last week. Partially torn hamstring off the bone, needs surgery, season over. The Cowboys are not so dumpster fire. We're going to get to the Eagles game in a little bit. There's 2 good players on this team, legitimately. It's Michael Parsons. It's CeeDee Lamb. Everybody else, maybe Trayvon Diggs. Everybody else is kind of meh to me. The coaching staff is doo-doo, boo-boo, garbage, mustache. Okay? Sucks. Absolute trash. Okay? The ownership. Not that he's going to sell the team, but Jerry, bro, it's been since 95. Okay? It's time to shut up, get a GM, and let a GM build your team. Stop making contracts Stop having after game interviews and press conferences. That shit's over. Your team is doo-doo. You've been getting by getting 11, 12 wins the last 3-4 years. Guess what? You are 3-6. You suck. Okay? I don't know if you need a new quarterback. You probably do. You need a whole new offensive line. That shit does not work. Okay? Running back. Boy, do you need one. Should have taken Derrick Henry, and even with Derrick Henry, I don't think that would have helped you. Okay? You have Dalvin Cook on your team. You should start him. I bet that he has more legs than Rico Dowdle and whoever else you're putting back there. Okay? I like Jake Ferguson, but he doesn't do enough for me. I like Jalen Tolbert, but he doesn't do enough for me. Okay? You do not have the proper talent to compete in your division. And honestly, you don't have the proper talent to compete in the NFL. Okay? I'm not saying you're the Panthers. I'm not saying you're the Giants. I'm not saying you're the Raiders. But boy, are you darn close. Okay? You are darn close. So you better figure out something because you just paid your quarterback that tore his hamstring $60 million a year and gave him a 4-year contract. So I don't know what you're going to do, but you better fire Mike McCarthy at the end of this year. You probably won't. You did the same thing with Jason Garrett. You held on to him too long. Or put in a GM that actually knows what he's doing in the draft room and knows how to put a team together based on needs, not on talent and flashiness. Needs. Left tackle, right tackle, running back, D tackle. You have people that are injured all across the. Deron Bland hasn't played. I think he's played 2 snaps this year. Michael Parsons came back. Cool. Michael Parsons came back. You still got no DeMarcus Lawrence. You don't have a legit inside linebacker. That boy, both of them, I think, retired. Both of your middle linebackers that were really good, the 2 that you drafted, Smith and kid from BYU, Van Geikel. You guys know who I'm talking about. They both the guy who had neck problems and had concussions and stuff like that. It's scary. It's that sound. It's scary over there. Scary as in holy shit, we are the richest valued franchise in the world. And we suck. And guess what? Every single game you got for the rest of the season are standalone games. So this putrid team that you have, this flying putrid piece of turd that you're putting out on the field, all of America's going to see on standalone games. And boy, your schedule is not friendly. We'll go through it when we get to the Eagles game, but Cowboys suck. All right. Thursday game. Ravens beat the Bengals 35-34 on a Justin Tucker basically on a stop 2-point conversion because Bengals drove it down all the way and scored a touchdown, and they couldn't get the 2-point conversion, and they lost right there. The Bengals are 4-6. Should be a lot better. Started off slow in the season, have a great offense, but boy, their defense can't stop a nosebleed. Okay? For the Ravens, 7-3 and by the skin of their teeth. Henry, this game, Joe Burrow went 34 for 56, 428 yards, 7.6 yards an attempt, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 3 sacks for 7 yards, a QBR of 63.4, and a passer rating of 108.3. Really good. But he passed the ball 56 times. That is too much. You want to know the balance of this game? The balance of this game was 16 carries to 56 passes. That is the most lopsided play calling that I've ever seen. But you're facing Lamar and the Ravens, who can score in bunches, and they did. They couldn't run the ball worth a lick. 16 carries for 49 yards, 3.1 yards a carry. I mean, Chase Brown got a touchdown at the beginning of the game, but not much. Jamar Chase went absolutely bonkers. Showed that he is legitimately top 2 in the league as a receiver, behind probably Justin Jefferson, his old college buddy. 11 receptions, 17 targets. So Joe Burrow was definitely looking for him. And this Ravens pass defense is probably what's going to get them beat in the playoffs, because this also can't stop a nosebleed. 11 for 264 yards, an average of 24 yards a reception, 3 touchdowns, a long of 70, with one that was absolutely nasty. Caught it across the middle on a crossing route, turns back a little bit, and then bends it back up, uses that 4.33 speed to leave them in the absolute dust. That after another long fit, like a 56-yarder for his first touchdown. Everybody else stayed under 60 yards receiving. 9 for 52 for Chase Brown. That's a running back. Tanner Hudson, the tight end, 6 for 42. He caught a touchdown. And then Gesicki, 4 for 30. Yossi Vash, the other receiver, 2 for 29. So with T. Higgins, I think the Bengals could have actually won this game. But T. Higgins was out. 2 fumbles by Joe Burrow, didn't lose any. Chase Brown recovered one and fumbled one and lost it. And then Khalil Herbert, the newest addition to that team, actually recovered one of Joe Burrow's fumbles. Okay? The defense, no sacks. Just couldn't get to Lamar. Couldn't get to him. No picks either. Very clean game when we talk about the 2 quarterbacks. Okay? Just you're facing Lamar, man. Lamar went 25 for 33, super efficient, 290, 8.8 yards an attempt, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 0 sacks, 83.6 QBR, a 141.4 passer rating. Derrick Henry went 16 for 68. They ran the ball 25 times, threw the ball 33 times. That's okay. In a shootout, I understand that, especially if Derrick Henry's getting stopped for 68 yards on 16 carries, 4.3 yards a carry, 1 touchdown. Lamar ran for 7 times for 33 yards. D-Hen getting stopped by this defense is kind of concerning. This defense, it's good in the interior and Hendrickson and all that, but they really stopped this running game. I feel like other teams that have the personnel are going to try to do the same. I don't think they're going to be successful. This is Derrick Henry at the end of the day. But since it was a shootout, I understand why they only gave him 16 carries. Leading receiver, rookie, Tylan Wallace. 3 catches, 115 yards, a touchdown, a long of 84 on 3 targets. Mark Andrews, 6 for 68 and a touchdown on 7 targets. Rashad Bateman, 6 for 54 and a touchdown on 8 targets. Zay Flowers, 4 for 34 on 6 targets. So you go from back-to-back explosions to under 40 yards receiving, Zay. What is happening? 1, you're on my fantasy team, and 2, you're the number 1 receiver of this offense. So that shouldn't happen. Deontay Johnson caught 1 for 6 yards, on two targets. The newest Raven. I think he's going to get more and more involved as the season goes on. You had Roquan Smith recover a fumble. The defense got 3 sacks, and the 3 sacks were all by Nnamdi Madubuike, formerly known as Justin Madubuike. he was disruptive. No picks. Really clean game. Keaton Mitchell was back. He showed a little bit of speed. He'll get more involved as the season goes on. But shout out to the Ravens. Shout out to Lamar. Another great game at the quarterback position, just cementing his MVP status at this point. 3 MVPs, 2 back-to-back. That would be, that's first ballot Hall of Famer, gold jacket status. He will break Michael Vick's all-time rushing record for a quarterback this season. I think he's only like 300 or 200 yards away. If not, he's lower than that. So I think he'll break that. He's doing great from inside the pocket. And they're 7-3, and they're looking at that number 2, number 3 seed in the AFC. Unfortunately, we're going to talk about the team that's number 1 in the AFC North, which I don't like, and you guys are starting to hype. You guys in the media, like I said last night when they won, that you guys were going to say, "Oh, is this team responsible to go to the Super Bowl?" And I'm going to tell you why not. Okay, even though I put up a reel today that kind of explained it a little bit, but follow me on Instagram, by the way, and TikTok. Nice plug there. But we're going to talk about that. Sunday morning, boy, they put a toilet bowl in Munich for the German fans, but it turned out to be pretty exciting. Panthers win 20-17. I thought the Giants were going to win. That was just my feeling. But Bryce Young is finally, it's about time. And I'm not even talking about nothing crazy. I'm not talking about, what he did at Bama. I'm talking about he's finally just being a quarterback. Seeing it, getting it out. Accuracy. Good decisions. Not shooting yourself in the foot. Normal quarterback play. Efficient. Okay? So shout out to Bryce Young for finally figuring it out after being benched and learning, I guess, from being behind the red rifle. I'm going to go through the numbers, and then we're going to get into the Giants because it is time. It is time to blow this shit up. Okay? GM should stay. He drafts pretty well. He's drafted pretty well on both sides of the ball. Dayball should stay. Daniel Jones, I don't care if we're paying you $40 million a year, bro. Get out. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot have 2 bona fide receivers, especially Malik Neighbors, wide open on crossing routes by over 20 yards, and you're just staring at them and then take a sack. Okay? That is infuriating. As a fan base, as a coach, which you clearly saw Dayball just lose it on the sideline after that play. And everybody who thought you were something. That is just basically shooting them in the heart and saying, well, I guess we were wrong. Daniel Jones, 22 for 37, 190, 5.1 yards an attempt, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, 2 sacks for 15 yards, 33.9 QBR, 50.5 passer rating. Absolutely awful. Okay? Tyrone Tracy, 18 carries, 103 yards and a touchdown. But what we're going to remember about this game is how the Giants tied it with a field goal, got the ball in overtime, and the first play in overtime. If you're a shit team, this is what happens to you. You fumble the ball, and that's it. Panthers kick a field goal, and it's over. Just like that. You work so hard to come back and tie, and it's emotional, and the first play of overtime after you get the toss go to your way, fumble. Incredible. When you're bad, you're bad. This is 3-7 now versus 2-8. I mean, I feel bad for the Munich fans, but they were loving it. Devin Singletary didn't do nothing, 8 for 40. Daniel Jones ran 7 for 26. They should run him a little bit more. At this point, don't have him pass. Wan'Dale Robinson, five catches for 51 yards on 8 targets. Malik Neighbors, 6 for 50 on 10 targets. Just throwing, dink, and dunking here and there, not going over the top. Jalen Hyatt caught some balls, 4 for 39. Theo Johnson, 4 for 37. Tyrone Tracy fumbled twice, but lost one, and that was the costly one. DJ Davidson recovered the other one. Their defense gave them 1 sack. You can really tell that they're really missing Kayvon Thibodeau. The 1 sack came from, was it Brian Burns? Yeah, Brian Burns. Sexy Dexy's pushing the pile, pushing the front of the pile, but Bryce Young kept his poise and delivered the football when he had to, so it didn't really affect them. No interceptions for the New York Giants. When we go to the Panthers, Bryce Young, 15 for 25. Nothing crazy. Nothing spectacular. 126. I mean, below spectacular. 5 yards an attempt, 1 touchdown, no picks, 1 sack, 8 yards, 58.5 QBR, and 86.4 rating. Chuba Hubbard, 28 carries, 153 yards, and a touchdown. Listen, I saw this kid at Oklahoma State. I know how good he was. The fact that he didn't have an offensive line his first few years in Carolina spoke a lot. Now that they have somewhat of a run game, the kid is blossoming. Now, Miles Sanders got hurt, and I don't know when Jonathan Brooks, the rookie out of Texas, is going to get the rock. Chuba Hubbard running like this makes me think that's going to be either a lesser load or later rather than sooner. I want to see that kid. That kid has a lot of talent. He took over for Bijan. He was Bijan's understudy at Texas. He has a lot of talent. He has speed. He can catch the ball at the backfield. He got wiggle. He got power. So I want to see that kid. But Chuba Hubbard is doing a great job right now. 28 for 153. That is amazing when, that is amazing considering what the Panthers have been. Okay? Bryce Young ran 2 for 30. A little bit of what you saw at Alabama. Receiving, Jalen Coker, 3 for 41 on 8 targets. Xavier Legette, 3 for 40 on 4 targets. I need that to switch. Xavier Legette should be the number one option and the number one receiver on this offense. I like Jalen Coker, but Xavier Legette is the guy you drafted in the second round. Or the first round. Actually, let me because I don't remember. He got drafted, round 1, pick 32. So the last pick of the first round. So, turn him into your number 1. He is your leading touchdown scorer, I believe. So he's kept throwing. I thought he threw a lot more to this guy, David Moore, but he only threw him 4 balls. But it looked like it was like pretty. When I was watching the game, when the red zone was on, he threw like 3 of those to David Moore. I thought it was more, but he only threw him 4 times. Chuba Hubbard fumbled, lost it. Raheem Blackshear recovered 1, and Josie Jewell recovered 1. Their defense got 2 sacks, one by DJ Wonnum, the former Viking, and the other one, A'Shawn Robinson, the former Giant. You had 2 picks, one by Xavier Woods on a tip, and the other one by Josie Jewell. Okay? Like I said, New York Giants, I don't know what you guys are going to do. You got Malik Neighbors. You got Wan'Dale Robinson. You have a good coach in Dayball. He knows how to coach a quarterback when he has talent. Is disciplined and trust his eyes. Daniel Jones doesn't trust what he's seeing right now. Does not trust what he's seeing right now. He could see somebody open by 20 yards, nobody around him, and he will not pull the trigger. Okay? At this point, it is time to say bye-bye to this season. Bye-bye to this season. Hit him with the wah, 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 wah. Yeah, hit him with that. And then possibly try to go for that number 1 pick, if not that number 2 pick, hoping that the number 1 pick is not, somebody like the Raiders or maybe the Panthers, depending on how the Bryce Young thing happens, the Tennessee Titans. You just hope that it's not one of those, because I think Shedeur Sanders is going 1 or 2, depending on who's that number 1 team in the draft. So if you could get your hands on Shedeur Sanders with Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, and your offensive line, who seems like is doing good, Tyrone Tracy, which seems like it's going to be a promising young running back, then you got something cooking, because that defense is really good, especially on that D-line. But if you don't get a quarterback, boy, that is a dumpster turd, all right? That is bad, okay? And it's bad football to watch. Not appealing at all. For the Panthers at 3-7, you haven't saved nothing. This should be another Bryce Young learn. For the next games that he's in, Bryce Young learn. If you win, cool. If you don't, cool. Just learn. For next season, that's going to be your gut check time, because it's going to be your third. It's going to be your third year in the league. Yes, they can pick up that fifth year option next year if they want to. But if you do good and you do the right strides, you might be able to maybe after next year get that contract extension. But, or that new contract. But we'll see, because you guys are 3-7 and you guys still suck. You just beat a suckier team. Broncos Chiefs 16-14. Oh my God. 9-0. Thank God. Boy, did I thought this was going to go different, though. I thought it was going to be a close game. 1, it's a division matchup, and 2, it's the Broncos with a great defense. But I did not expect the Chiefs to be basically down almost the whole game and to figure it out at the end, get a touchdown, be up 2, squander a possibility to get a touchdown. In the waning minutes, and then Bo Nix almost driving, Bo Nix driving all the way for a game-winning kick, just for the backup or the former starting center. So the second guy from left to right on the end of the field goal block, basically folded like a lawn chair. Leo Chenal went through him. He fell back and he jumped and blocked that kick. I watched it with my dad. I watched it with my whole family, and I started jumping up and down because I was like, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. Any which way they can find a win, it's just like the Patriots from before. You can't explain it. It's not explainable. They just win. Now, I am concerned. This defense was good. I like Bo Nix. That's another thing we're going to talk about. Bo Nix is the future there. I believe that he will win a lot of games. I believe Sean Payton will have a lot of success there in Denver. I think this game in particular showed me that Bo Nix is here to stay. That is the franchise quarterback for the Denver Broncos. The box score, not a lot to look at. 22 for 22 out of 30, 215, 7.2 yards an attempt, 2 touchdowns, no picks for Bo Nix, two sacks, 33 yards. That's a lot. 69.3 QBR, a 115.3 rating. Audric Estime was their leading rusher, 14 for 53. Javonte Williams, 1 for 1 yard. Thank you for doing that for my fantasy team. I didn't like that. Should have started Bucky Irvin over you. But I digress. Cortland Sutton, 6 for 70 on 9 targets and a touchdown. Devon Vele, the rookie out of Utah, 4 for 39 and a touchdown on 4 targets. That was about it. It was 23-30 pass to run ratio. Pretty balanced for a Sean Payton offense. It was a close game, so they still could try to run the ball. Bo Nix fumbled and recovered it. But you got 4 sacks on Mahomes, 1 by Jonathan Cooper, 1 by John Franklin Myers, the former Jet, 1 by Nick Bonito, the former Oklahoma Sooner, and 1 by their outstanding inside interior D lineman Zach Allen, which is proven to be one of the top 5 D linemen in the league at this point. No picks. They played a clean game, but it wasn't clean enough. Okay, you're facing the Chiefs here. You're facing the 2-time defending champs, undefeated at their house at Arrowhead. Mahomes 28 for 42, 266, 6.3 yards an attempt, 1 touchdown, no picks. 4 sacks for 23 yards, 61.7 QBR, a rating of 92. Kareem Hunt went 14 for 35. They ran the ball 19 times and passed the ball 42 times. This is one of the most lopsided play calling discrepancies that I've seen this year with this team. They're usually pretty balanced. They couldn't run the ball worth a shit, though. They were 19 for 57 yards a team for 3 yards carry. That's not going to cut it. Kareem Hunt caught 7 balls for 65 yards on 10 targets, was the second most targeted player on this team. They need to get DeAndre Hopkins and Gabe Worthy really cooking in this offense because, Kelsey went 8 for 64, a touchdown, the only touchdown on 12 targets. DeAndre went 4 for 56 on 5 targets. Xavier Worthy 1 for 11 on 4 targets. You got to have more production out of your 2 wide receivers. This cannot be a running back and tight end centric type of offense. You're gonna face people that are gonna be just like the Broncos. Really good D line is pestering you all day with pressure, and you need to be able to get those guys the ball. But they won, so the team no fumble at all. 2 sacks, one by Nazeer Johnson, the cornerback, and another one by Nick Bolton, the linebacker. No picks, just did enough. Literally find a way to win. 9-0. They still have a possibility to go undefeated, but they need to figure out this offense. I don't understand why you go from having a great DeAndre Hopkins game and a great Travis Kelce game basically being stopped. I know Patrick Surtain is out there. I know that this is a really good offense, a D-line and back end, but I expect more from this offense from the Chiefs. For the Broncos, listen, everything is still in front of you. You're 5-5. You're second in the division. You're third in the division behind the Chargers, but you're still in it for a wild card spot at this point. We're going to hit the standings after we go through the games. But I think that you guys still have a shot, and you guys have a defense. And I think Bo Nix is just learning and getting better. He did face a really good defense. All right, let's finally get to the game that I thought I had right. And for the first half, I was right. And then here comes the TJ Watt and the Alex Highsmith and pressuring the quarterback and not being able to run the ball. No Brian Robinson. Steelers beat the Commanders 28-27 on what should have been a missed. There was a missed PI on 3rd down, and on 4th down, Zach Ertz caught it, passed the sticks, but his momentum took him, according to the refs and New York, took him over the line of gain, and then he got touched behind it on 4th down, turnover on downs, and then one of the stupidest things that a D lineman can do is jump off sides on a hard count. Turn your ears off. You are right next to the ball. You're looking at it. If it doesn't move, it doesn't matter what they say. It could say pink, purple, panther, everything. Ha ha. And if it doesn't move, you don't move. Nope. Immediately, Russell gets up to the line on a 4th down, 4th and 1, and he says, ha-ha, bro, immediate, jump. And I'm like, and I look at my dad, I'm like, dude, the first thing that you have to tell, they took a timeout before the 4th down too, the Steelers. So if I was Dan Quinn, I'd be like, hey, they're probably going to try to hard count you. This is Russell Wilson. look at the ball. If the ball doesn't move, you don't move. Well, they moved. And unfortunately, it cost them the game. How did this happen? Well, the Commanders had a pretty good lead. It was 7-7 after the first quarter. Then it was 10 to 14. 17-14 at halftime. Commanders made it 27-21. And then in the fourth quarter, Commanders got stopped, no touchdowns. And the Steelers on a, once again, Mike Williams. What did they get him for? Another deep threat, another contested catch. Why? Because the only way this offense can move the ball and score is on a prayer of a deep ball by Russell Wilson. Now, he is good at them. The moon ball, he made it famous at Seattle to Jermaine Kearse and to Sidney Rice and to DK and to Tyler Lockett. But man, how in the world do you allow that to happen on a third down? He just let it go. I mean, he was getting pressured. He just let it go, and it landed right in the breadbasket of Mike Williams. He's been there 4 days. 4 days. And he caught the game-winning touchdown. Now, this is where you got this is, we're going to go through the stats, but as soon as you guys won that game, first thing I told my dad, now the media is going to be like, can this team make the Super Bowl? Oh, my God, this defense? And then Russell Wilson? No, this team cannot make the Super Bowl. And I'll tell you why. In the playoffs, you get scouted. Not weekly, you get scouted for that one game. I believe in this defense. I'm not going to say nothing about this defense. This defense is like this, okay? That defense is scary. Preston Smith, TJ Watt, Herbig, Highsmith, who got hurt pretty badly, trying to sack Jaden Daniels in the fourth quarter. But this Joey Porter Jr., Minka, you still got Patrick Queen. I understand that this defense is good. I'm not saying that they're not. But there is no way that you think that without an actual running game, okay, and just hoping and praying for prayers on third down to be answered, because George Pickens is down there somewhere and he can catch anything like he did in the first quarter. Great catch. That's exactly what I thought when they drafted him. That's what we saw at Georgia. That's what we expected from George Pickens. He's a superstar wide receiver. No knock on him. But if you're expecting that every team that you face in the playoffs, including the Ravens, is going to allow you to do that, even though the Ravens have one of the worst pass defenses in the league and they have to fix that somehow, maybe when they get Tre'Davious White back that they just traded for, maybe that fixes some things. But it's atrocious right now. It's not going to happen. When you go against the Chiefs, when you go against the Bills, you are at a disadvantage at the quarterback position. You're at a disadvantage in the running game. You're at a disadvantage situationally, and you're at a disadvantage coaching. No, I do not think Mike Tomlin is better than Andy Reid. Don't come at me with that shit. Mike Tomlin has 1 Super Bowl. Andy Reid has 2? 3, because he was on the staff with Brett Favre when they won it in Green Bay. Okay? No. Spags is the best defensive coach in the league. Period. Especially in the playoffs. This man has 4 Super Bowl rings. 4. Okay? So don't tell me about, this Steelers team could get into the Super Bowl mix and everything. Listen. If you go against the Chargers, you're at a disadvantage in quarterback. If you go against the Chiefs, you're at a disadvantage in quarterback. If you go against the Buffalo Bills, you're at a disadvantage in quarterback. And I think even if you go against the Bengals, you're at a disadvantage in quarterback. Not that the Bengals are going to make it to the playoffs, but if you go against the Texans, you're at a disadvantage in quarterback. That's what I need you guys to understand. It's not that I just don't like this team. It's the fact that this team gets overhyped when they have a lot of success in the regular season. And when you get to January, you shit the bed. It's been like that since Ben left. You make it to the playoffs, shit the bed. Why? Because the defense can't carry you. You can't get that defensive score. You can't get that turnover. And then you're facing a monster on the other side, and eventually it's gonna catch up to you. Now, Russell Wilson's probably the best quarterback you've had since Ben. I agree with that. You guys are scoring 30 points a game. Since he's been there, you guys are 3-0. I got to respect that. But at the same time, I also know what I know. I've seen it. Okay? When you hope for the deep ball, and he did this in Seattle, when you hope for the deep ball and that's all you hope for, in the playoffs, that shit gets shut down. Shut down. Now, I believe that George Pickens can maybe offset that. Maybe Mike Williams, if he's healthy, he can offset that. But you can't run the ball. So if you're a one-dimensional team, unless you consistently be able to run the football, you are not getting far in the playoffs. And even if you make it to the Super Bowl, even if I give you that wish, if I give you that destiny, make it to the Super Bowl, if you face the Lions, you're getting molly-wrecked. Destroyed. You're at a disadvantage in play calling, and you're at a disadvantage in talent. Plain and simple. So I don't want to hear about the Steelers can make it to the Super Bowl. No. Let's try to build a run game, and let's try to actually build an offense that we can maybe hit an in cut, hit a slant, run actual routes, not just like, all right, George, Mike, well, run the fade, and I'll just throw it up there, and I'll hope. Because it's like that. It is hope and pray. That's literally what it is. It's the same thing that he was at Seattle when he had the Legion of Boom, except the Legion of Boom, I think, was a better defense than this. Okay? Was a better defense. You had Hall of Famers on that defense. You had one of the greatest linebackers ever in the middle. You had one of the best corners. You had one of the best safeties. And you had Pete Carroll running the show. So I believe in Mike Tomlin. I love him to death. But at the same time, stop with the hype. We're just past week 10. You still have to face the Ravens. You still have to face Lamar. So you might be first in the AFC North now, but you still got to face Lamar. You still got to face the Bengals. If T. Higgins is healthy, we'll see what happens there, because that pass offense is legit. That defense with Hendrickson is legit. So, don't get your hopes up. You're going to make the playoffs. That much is obvious. But don't tell me this Super Bowl talk. Come on. Right now, if I had to give you 4 teams that I think could reach the Super Bowl, it's literally the Chiefs, the Lions, the Bills. Chiefs, Lions, Bills? Ravens. That's it. Chiefs, Lions, Bills, Ravens. Those are the top 4 teams that I think are in line to make the Super Bowl this year. Even if you win out. If you beat the Ravens, then I'll give you your due. If you beat the Ravens. And I'm not talking about squeaking by. I'm talking about you actually have to beat them, because you're going to meet them again in the playoffs, in the divisional round. So, that's what you're working. That's what we're talking about. Let's get into the box score. Russell Wilson, 14 for 28, 195, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 7 yards an attempt, 3 sacks for 23 yards, a QBR of 72.7, 93.6 rating. Jaylen Warren went 14 for 66, 4.7 yards a carry. Respectable. Najee Harris, Mr. Concrete Feet, 21 for 53, 2.5 yards a carry. Yeah. 2.5 yards a carry. That is not a running game. You ran the ball 43 times for 140 yards, 3.3 yards a carry. That is not going to get it done. Okay? It's not going to get it done. Okay? Your balance was 43 to 28, and it was literally the hope and pray of the deep ball. That was it. George Pickens went 5 for 91 on 7 targets. Mike Williams went 1 for 32 on 1 target. That touchdown. That was it. That 1 target, that 1 catch. Jaylen Warren was 22 for 29 on 2 targets. Calvin Austin, 2 for 20 on 6 targets. Pat Freiermuth, 3 for 17 on 3 targets. You see what I'm saying? There is no consistency there. What you have, your number 1 receiver doesn't get to 100, and he catches only 5 balls on 7 targets. The guy that you just got catches 1 ball. That means you took all game to get him the football. And then your third leading receiver is your running back. And Pat Freiermuth, who's a great tight end, is 3 for 17. Against a Washington Commanders defense that is not the best in the league. It's good, but it's not the best in the league. You get what I'm saying? Jaylen Warren fumbled. He lost 1. Ben Skoranek recovered 1. Their defense gave you 3 sacks. 1 by Preston Smith that they just got. Like I said, that defense is legit. And then 2 by Cameron Hayward, son of Ironhead himself. No picks. If we go to the Commanders, Jaden Daniels showed poise this game. He showed that he belongs, that he can be one of the best young quarterbacks to have come in a very long time in this league, just like a C.J. Stroud. This kid is special. This kid is special. We saw it at LSU when he won the Heisman with 44 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards rushing, 4,000 yards passing. We knew that this was a possibility, and he is delivering. 17 for 34, 202 on the through the air, 5.9 an attempt. So the defense was definitely an effect on him. 3 sacks for 20 yards, 36.3 QBR, a 68.5 rating. So the numbers aren't great. But he had the lead the whole game. He basically had the lead the whole game. So he played enough good football to win. It's just the last call and then the defense giving up that Mike Williams touchdown. Austin Eckler went 13 for 44 and 2 touchdowns, so they couldn't run the ball. They ran the ball 22 times, threw it 34 times. 22 for 60 yards, 2.7 yards a carry. Just like the Steelers, they couldn't run the ball. Terry McLaurin went 5 for 113 on 6 targets. They have a great connection, and I'm so happy for Terry McLaurin because he's been with shit quarterbacks his whole career, and now he has a legit franchise quarterback to throw him the football. But you're gonna take these type of lumps. This is the type of loss where you learn from, and you get better. Noah Brown, 3 for 33 on 7 targets. Zach Ertz, 4 for 31 on 8 targets. Luke McCaffrey, 1 for 23 on 3 targets. I think that they have to get him a little bit more involved. Luke McCaffrey, I think he could be a little bit more of a weapon. Zacchaeus, 1 for 8 on 3 targets. Zacchaeus fumbled twice. One was a very important one that led to a score for the Steelers. He also recovered 1. Jeremy Chin recovered 1. They got 3 sacks. 1 came from Frankie Louvu, the outstanding linebacker. And then Dante Fowler got two sacks, my fellow Gator. Jeremy Chin got a pick. But at the end of the day, it's 7-2 and 7-3. Still number 1 in their divisions. Still perfectly lined up for a top 2 seed in the AFC. Pittsburgh still has to face they still have to face the Chiefs. You still have to face the Ravens. You got to face the Steelers. You got to face the Bengals. And you got to face the Ravens twice. One at Pittsburgh this weekend, and then your third to last game of the season in Baltimore. That's what's going to decide the division. Those 2 games right there. And if you lose to the Eagles or the Chiefs. That's what's going to decide your seeding. You could definitely win out. You could definitely lose 5 of those games. You could win 4 lose 3. Like, there is a lot of wiggle room still left. Vikings, Jaguars, we're going to start running through these until we get to Viking to the good ones. Vikings, Jaguars. Listen, this was another kind of messy game. Justin Jefferson wasn't effective at all. 12-7, Mac Jones. Sam Darnold went 24 for 38 for 241. No touchdowns, 3 picks, really sloppy. 1 sack for 8 yards. 33.6 QBR, a 48.2 rating. Aaron Jones ran 17 for 88. Cam Akers went 13 for 38. They ran the ball for 169 yards on 43 carries. Passed the ball 38 times, so a lot of plays ran. Pretty good balance, I would say. T.J. Hawkinson in his second game back, in his first game back, I believe. No, his second game back, he went 8 for 72 on 9 targets. Oliver, the other tight end, went 4 for 52 on 6 targets. Justin Jefferson went 5 for 48 on 9 targets. One of the lowest, his lowest outputs of the year. Jordan Addison, they still have to get him more involved. 2 for 25 on 5 targets, just not enough. No touchdowns for them. Straight field goals. 12-7 was the final score. Harrison Phillips picked up a fumble. They got 3 sacks from their defense. 1 from Ivan Pace Jr., another one from Andrew Van Ginkel, Van Ginky, and the last one from Blake Cashman, the former Commander linebacker. Byron Murphy got a pick, and Cameron Bynum got a pick. As for the Jags, another dumpster fire. Trevor Lawrence has to get surgery. He's possibly done for the year. I don't know. I mean, Mac Jones can't play. So, unfortunately, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going to happen with this team. I mean, it's. I feel bad for Doug Peterson. I know he's a good coach, especially offensively, but without a quarterback that he can just squeeze everything out of, especially with Mac Jones. I mean, Trevor is I don't want to say a lost cause, but he doesn't. The fact that he hasn't gotten to that next level yet, it really speaks volumes at this point with the amount of talent he is. Mac Jones went 14 for 22, 111 yards, 5 yards an attempt, an attempt. 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, 3 sacks for 24 yards, a 12.8 QBR, a 38.3 QB passer rating. Travis Etienne, 11 carries for 44 yards, 18 runs, 22 passes. I mean, they didn't have the ball, basically. Like they didn't have no possession. Evan Ingram, leading receiver, 6 for 40 on 8 targets. Brenton Strange, another tight end, 2 for 25 on 3 targets. Gabe Davis, 1 for 19 on 4 targets. Brian Thomas Jr., 2 for 12 on 3 targets. I mean, Mac Jones could do nothing out there against this Brian Flores defense. Mac Jones lost a fumble. Their defense gave 1 sack. That came from Travon Walker, and he also almost got ejected by throwing a punch late in the game, trying to get the ball. Darnell Savage got a pick. Foye Oluokun got a pick, and Monteric Brown got a pick. So they got 3 picks and 7 points to show for it. 2-8. The team is done. The AFC South is basically the Titans, and that's it. Titans suck. So do the Colts at this point. So, Vikings 7-2, still in line to be that 3 seed right now, that 2 seed behind the Lions in the NFC. But Sam Darnold got to pick it up. You got to find Justin Jefferson. You got to find Jordan Addison. They got to get this running game back going against that Jaguars team, which is not very good. Very surprising that was a score 12-7. Saints, Falcons. Coach Rizzi in his first showing. Coach Riz wins on a Falcons basically botched field goal attempt. Not even getting to it. Essentially, just bad play calling, bad time clock management at the end. But 20-17, 2 bombs from Derek Carr to new signed MVS. Kirk Cousins 23 for 38, 306, 8.1 yards an attempt, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick, 3 sacks for 19 yards, 46.5 QBR, a 75.1 passer rating. Bijan went 20 carries for 116, 2 touchdowns. He played great. I mean, he got stopped 3 times in a row. Tyler Algier at the 1, and then they gave it to Bijan on fourth down, and they scored. Tyler Algier went 11 for 59. They ran the ball 32 times, passed the ball 38. Pretty good balance. Drake London went 8 for 97 on 12 targets. Mooney went 5 for 96 on 10 targets. Cowboys went 5 for 55 on 6 targets. So, they got some good contributions from the passing game, but they just couldn't score, couldn't get in the end zone. Only scoring 17 points. Kirk Cousins had 2 fumbles. Jake Matthews recovered 1. Drake London recovered another. Their defense gave them 0 sacks, and they got no picks. As for the Saints, Derek Carr went 16 for 25, 269, 10.8 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks, 49-point QBR, 26.9 pass rating. Kamara went 17.55 on the ground. Marquez Valdez-Scantling caught 3 balls for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns, along with 67 on 3 targets. Alvin Kamara went 5 for 54 on 6 targets. Taysom Hill went 2 for 6 on 2 targets. So I guess MVS is the number 1 receiver now until Chris Olave comes back from the concussion. Or Rashid Shaheed, he's on IR currently, so we'll see when he comes back. Derek Carr fumbled. He recovered it. The defense got 3 sacks, one by Ian Turner, the other one by Cameron Jordan, the ageless one, and then Chase Young gave him one as well. Tyrann Mathieu got a pick. And shout out to the Saints. They break the longest losing streak since the brown bag era. Basically the paper bag era went really bad. When they were the New Orleans Aints, not the Saints. 7-game losing streak. Does this mean anything? Could be a culture change with Coach Riz, but at the same time, at 3-7 in the NFC South, with Atlanta and Tampa in front of you, you have the same record as the Panthers, so you're done. I think that you're another team that in the draft should be looking for quarterback. I don't think Spencer Rattler's the answer unless he learns in year 2 next year. You should be looking at a Cam Ward. You should be looking at a Shador if you get high enough. You should be looking at possibly a Jalen Milroe. You should be looking in that realm of for your first round pick next year. For the Falcons, this is a slip up. This should have been a win. They should have been at 7-3. Now at 6-4. Tampa's behind them, but it's not really close because they also lost this week. So kind of like they stay the same. But Atlanta, I expected more from you, especially the way you've been playing. This was kind of a letdown. Only scored 17 against the Saints. 49ers, Buccaneers. Speaking of Tampa, 49ers win on a game-winning field goal by Moody after his 3 field goals. Baker Mayfield feels so bad for him, man. I love how he plays. I love the moxie. I love the toughness, the competitiveness. Been seeing it since Oklahoma. Just couldn't get enough done. Didn't have the right weapons. Throwing the K in and hoping that Sterling Shepard would catch ball and everything like that. And, had some great plays, even holding off Nick Bosa with a stiff arm while throwing on a 4th down for Rashad White. Just wasn't enough to stave off Brock Purdy. Basically, George Kittle, who on a 3rd down was incredible, ran to his left, basically was getting chased. This beautiful back of the cornerback pylon pass on a scramble drill to George Kittle, got his 2 feet down, tied the game, and then the defense did the job, and Moody squeaked it through for the win. And San Francisco with CMC back get a win, 5-4, still alive in that NFC West. Brock Purdy, 25 for 36, 353 yards, 9.8 yards an attempt, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 3 sacks, 15 yards, 78.9 QBR, a 119.3 passer rating. Christian McCaffrey in his first game back after the tendonitis on both of his Achilles. 13 carries for 39 yards. Not crazy. He still looked like Christian McCaffrey. He didn't have volume or the numbers, but he looked like Christian McCaffrey. Juwan Jennings being the leading receiver, 783 on 11 targets, which is weird when you have Deebo Samuel there and CMC. Ricky Pearsall caught his first touchdown. He went 4 for 73 and a touchdown of 46 yards on 6 targets. I think he's going to get more involved in the offense, especially without no Brandon Ayuk. CMC caught 6 balls for 68 yards on 7 targets. Tyreek Hill will play tonight. I don't think that'll change my pick, though. I think I'm still going with the Rams at home. Debo went 5 for 62 on 6 targets. I thought that they would pass him the ball more, to be honest. And then George Kittle went 3 for 57, but caught the most important ball of the game on 4 targets. Jacob Cowing fumble. He lost one. Brock Purdy fumbled, and then Juwan Jennings recovered it. Their defense gave him 2 sacks, 1 from Nick Bosa, and then 1 from Malik Collins. No picks. As for the for the Tampa with the depleted, no Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans. I mean, it's a tough living for Baker Mayfield. 18 of 29, 116, 4 yards an attempt. I mean, it was tough. 1 touchdown, no picks, 2 sacks for 11 yards, 41.2 QBR, an 82 passer rating. Bucky Irving went 13 for 73 and a touchdown. He looks good. I think he should be the starting running back. We'll see what happens this upcoming week if Rachaad White is still the starter. 10 for 31 was Rachaad White on 8 carries. 27 to 29 was the difference in play calling from pass to run. Pretty good. Rachaad White was their leading receiver, though, 6 for 39 and a touchdown on 7 targets. You had Cade Otton, his favorite target, essentially, now that he lost his favorite 2 targets, 5 for 35 on 8 targets. Bucky Irving went 3 for 14 on 3 targets. And then Sterling Shepard only caught 1 ball on 3 targets, very surprising. Baker Mayfield fumbled 3 times, recovered 2 of them. Anthony Nelson recovered 1, and then Bucky Irving recovered the one that Baker fumbled. One of the ones that Baker fumbled. They gave him 3 sacks. Kalijah Cansey got a sack. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka got a sack, and Greg Gaines got a sack. No picks. Shout out to the San Francisco. I think C-Mac is going to have a resurgent second half of the season. Well, not second half. Last 7 games of the season, trying to go into the playoffs, even if it's as a wild card. Because right now the Arizona Cardinals are number 1 in the NFC West. Excuse me. But I think this team is going to go get better because CMC is what unlocks the rest of that offense, even without a Brandon Ayuk. So I expect the Kyle Shanahan to start getting back to that. Zone read, outside zone, making everything look the same, and just using C-Mac to his advantage every way he can and try to catch up on wins these last 7 games. Bills beat the Colts. The Colts are done for, man. Joe Flacco don't work. Put him back AR. They already announced that Joe Flacco is going to start this upcoming weekend. I don't know why you just don't play the kid at this point. Like, you've lost 2 in a row with Joe Flacco. The season's basically over. You're 4-6. You can maybe fight back in, but, it's going to take a lot, especially if the Texans keep winning. But you can still be above 500. Not that I think you're going to. You have players, but, for some reason with Joe Flacco, the last 2 games, it hasn't been clicking. So unless you figure out something, not going to happen. Bills are 8-2, number 2. Actually, between them and the Steelers, they're number 2 or number 3 in the AFC right now. 30-20. Josh Allen got off to a slow start, throwing 2 picks. He threw no touchdowns this game. He ran for 1. He went 22 for 37, 280, 7.6 yards an attempt. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks for 0 yards. So he basically got to the line of scrimmage. 48.3 QBR, a rating of 60.6. James Cook went 19 for 80 and a touchdown. Josh Allen went 8 for 50 and a touchdown. Matt Collins was his number 1 receiver. 4 for 86 on 4 targets. Khalil Shakir went 6 for 58 on 9 targets. Dawson Knox went 2 for 40 on 3 targets. Curtis Samuel went 4 for 35 on 8 targets. Dalton Kincaid, 2 for 24 on 5 targets. I don't know how you draft a guy that high and you just not giving him footballs, not like last year. I don't understand. Their offense is working, so they clearly figured out something, but I think that he should be a definitely bigger part of the offense. Brandon Codrington fumbled. DeMar Hamlin recovered a fumble. Alec Anderson recovered a fumble. They got 4 sacks from the defense. Greg Rousseau, grad. Taron Johnson, the outstanding nickel / safety. AJ Epinesa, Iowa, gets a sack. And Quentin Jefferson gets a sack, the former Jet. Taron Johnson returned the first pass of Joe Flacco in the game for a touchdown. First pass. First time Joe Flacco touched the ball, he threw a pick to Taron Johnson, and it was 7-0, just like that. Austin Johnson got a pick. Taylor Rapp got a pick at the end of the game to basically seal it. Yeah, Buffalo's just playing well. They started off slow though. That's tough. You don't want to start off slow against good teams. Not that Indianapolis was a good team, but these are the type of teams that you're supposed to roll over. 30-20. Eventually, yeah, you picked up your stride, but at the beginning of the game, firstly, that first half, you need to assert dominance because that's might haunt you later, starting off slow against good teams. Joe Flacco went 26 for 35, 272, 7.8 average, an attempt, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 4 sacks for 32 yards. 21.9 QBR, a rating of 79.7. Jonathan Taylor went 21 for 114, had a good day. No touchdowns though. Alec Pierce went 4 for 81 on 7 targets. Josh Downs went 7 for 72 on 10 targets. Alec Pierce caught a touchdown, a long of 32. Adonai Mitchell went 6 for 71 on 6 targets. Need to get Adonai Mitchell, AD Mitchell, more targets, man. He is a difference maker. Got to get him involved more than 6 targets. Joe Flacco had a fumble. He lost it. Adonai Mitchell fumbled. Josh Downs recovered it. Their defense gave him 2 sacks. Grover Stewart gave him 1, and Kwity Paye gave him 1, former Michigan man. EJ Speed caught a pick, and Kenny Moore caught a pick, and then Kenny Moore after the game says, "Hey man, this team doesn't work hard. There's not attention to detail. There's not the want to." Like, you don't want to hear that from one of your best players about your locker room. But even Pat McAfee's fed up. Like, he doesn't know what's happening, and I think you should just start AR, man. Just run with the rookie. Just run with the second year quarterback with talent, and let the ships fall where they may. And when you get to the draft and the next year, add pieces, maybe a change in the coaching staff, at offensive coordinator. Not saying Steichen is not good. I like Steichen, but maybe he needs some help over there, But right now, it's not looking good for the Colts. Bears Patriots, 19-3 for the Patriots. They're 3-7. Bears are 4-5. Drake May looks better and better every week. The Patriots still stink. Their defense is what's getting them these wins. But what we got to talk about is Caleb Williams, man. Listen, he's regressed the last 2-3 weeks. I thought Eberflus was going to get fired today. As soon as they lost that game 19-3 against the Patriots, the lowly Patriots, after losing to the Carolina Panthers last week, I thought that definitely Eberflus was going to get shit canned. He had a press conference today saying that there's going to be offensive changes and that Caleb Williams is still the starting quarterback. Well, duh, you're not going to put Tyson Bagent as starting quarterback after you just drafted this dude number 1 overall, and he's shown to be better than Bryce Young. But for the talent that they have on the offensive side of the ball, for what we were saying before the season, best situation that a rookie quarterback's ever stepped into, legit weapons on the outside, a good running back, a solid offensive line, this shit is trash. Trash offensive line. Receivers can't get open, and Caleb holding on to the ball too long, trying to play hero ball like he did at USC. That shit does not work in the NFL. The play calling is awful. I just feel bad for the kid, man. Especially because this is the second year in a row where the number 2 pick has shown to be way better than the number 1 pick. Drake May went 15 for 25, 184, 7-point yards an attempt, a touchdown and a pick, 1 sack for 0 yards, 67.5 QBR, a rating of 79.4. Ramondre went 20 carries on 74 yards, 3.7 yards a carry, nothing major, 35-25 split from run to pass. Austin Hooper was his number 1 receiver, 3 for 64 on 4 targets. Demario Douglas, 4 for 50 on 5 targets. Kayshon Boutte, 4 for 47 on 6 targets. Hunter Henry, 1 for 14 on 4 targets. The one that caught the touchdown was Jalen Polk, the rookie out of Washington, for a 2-yard touchdown. Marcus Jones fumbled and recovered it. Ben Brown fumbled, and then Drake May recovered Ben Brown's fumble. Their defense gave them 9 sacks. This is why I say the Bears are atrocious. 9 sacks? Without Josh Uche, this was just like Demiric Wise and Tavai, Jeremiah Farms Jr. Like, what? 9 sacks for the number 1 pick? That is embarrassing for the Bears. That's why Eberflus should have gotten fired today. Yeah, they got Jelani Tavai got a sack. Jeremiah Farms Jr. got a sack. Anthony Jennings got 2 sacks. Keon White got a sack. Dietrich Wise got 2 sacks. Del Pitis got... People I don't even know got a sack. Brendan Schooler got a sack. 9 sacks, bro. That is absolutely atrocious by the Bears. At home, even worse. No interceptions. And then we go to the Bears, and it's Caleb Williams, 16 for 30 for 120, 4 yards an attempt, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks, 9 sacks for 51 yards. That's half a football field. That's insane. Okay, 13.6 QBR, a 63.2 rating. I mean, they ran the ball 20 times, passed the ball 30 times. They ran the ball for 73 yards on 20 carries, 3.7 yards a carry. DeAndre Swift had 16 for 59. Keenan Allen went 5 for 44 on 6 targets. DJ Moore went 3 for 24 on 6 targets. Roma Dunze went 3 for 23 on 6 targets. Cole Kmet went 2 for 13 on 4 targets. Like nothing in the passing game. 16 completions for 120 yards, 7.5 yards of completion. No fumbles. Their defense gave them 1 sack from Jacob Martin, and TJ Edwards caught a pick. This team is bad. Eberflus should get fired. Okay? Shane Waldron should get fired. And unfortunately for Caleb, he's going to have to go next season, I'm pretty sure, with a new coach and a new quarterback and a new offensive coordinator with a new offensive system. And that's the carousel that you don't want to get with this rookie quarterbacks, these young quarterbacks, man. You want to have some stability. And clearly the Bears are not going to. As for the Patriots, Drake May is the guy of the future, but you guys just are devoid of talent, essentially. You're 3-7. If you guys don't get the number 1 pick, you're not getting Travis Hunter. So you got to be looking maybe somebody on the outside, maybe a Bond, no Ryan Smith, of course, no Jeremiah Smith, maybe an Emeka Ibuka from Ohio State, maybe an Ashton Genty at running back. So you're going to look at something offensively because you need something. Because that offense is atrocious. 19 points, mostly on your defense, if I'm being honest. 27-17, Chargers beat the Titans. This is a non-factor. Chargers are 6-3, right behind the Chiefs in the AFC West. Titans are horrible, 2-7. Another team that needs a quarterback. Another team that should be looking at a Cam Ward, at a Shador Sanders, at a Jalen Milroe, at a Dylan Gabriel, at a Quinn Ewers, at a Riley Leonard. Somebody. You got to be looking at somewhere around that realm because Will Levis is not cutting it. You're not going to keep rolling with Mason Rudolph. Your defense is, pretty good, but you couldn't keep the Chargers out of it. Will Levis went 18 for 23, 175, 7.6 yards an attempt, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 7 sacks for 18 yards, 65.4 QBR, a rating of 127.4. Tajay Spears went 7 for 47. Tony Pollard went 9 for 44, 21 carries for 132 yards as a team. 23-21 run pass balance. Calvin Ridley went 5 for 84, 2 touchdowns along a 41 on 9 targets. Just keep throwing it to 0. Nick Westbrook-Akine, 3 for 31 on 3 targets, and then basically nobody else. 18 completions for 175 yards. Will Levis fumbled. J.C. Latham recovered it. They got no sacks from the defense, and they got no picks. As for the Chargers, they look good. This is a hardball type of team. Toughness, defense, opportunistic scoring. One of the best scoring defenses in the NFL this year, from bottom 5 last year. So that's just coaching right there. With Minter from Michigan that Harbaugh brought over. Justin Herbert went 14 for 18, efficient, 164, 9.1 yards, a complete an attempt, 1 touchdown, no picks. The touchdown was to Quentin Johnston. No sacks, 84.9 QBR, 123.1 rating. Gus Edwards went 10 for 55 in his return. J.K. Dobbins went 15 for 50. Justin Herbert went 9 for 32 and a touchdown. Hassan Haskins went 2 for 4 and a touchdown. They went 39 runs for 145 yards to 18 passes. That is astronomically unbalanced, but it worked for them. They moved around this Tennessee defensive line. Ladd McConkey, 2 receptions for 52 yards on 2 targets. Joshua Palmer, 1 reception for 36 yards on 2 targets. Will Dissly, 5 for 30 on 6 targets. Quentin Johnston, 2 for 24, 1 touchdown on 2 targets. That was basically it. 14 completions for 164 yards. Their defense gave them 7 sacks. Deion Henley gave them 1. Tuli Tuotuopu gave him 2. Bud Dupree gave him 2, the former Steeler. Poona Ford gave him 1. And Joey Bosa gave him 1. No picks. Chargers are right there, man. They're going to be in the wild card, 6-3. They're going to keep winning these type of games. It's the hardball football. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be a tough out because of hardball football. So good for the Chargers. Eagles, Cowboys. First of all, we got to start with a laugh here. Man, I knew this was going to be a massacre, but boy, I was not expecting this. 34-6 at Jerry World. Absolute disgusting pummeling. First thing I got to say is welcome back, Michael Parsons. He seems good. The rest of the defense, Trayvon Diggs made a good interception. Other than that, the offense is atrocious with Cooper Rush. That's not going to work. You guys are going to keep losing games. CeeDee Lamb got completely shut down this game. You guys have the worst running back room in the league, and I said that before the season even started. When you didn't get when you didn't pay Tony Pollard and you didn't get Derrick Henry and you didn't go after Joe Mixon, you have the worst running room in the league. You guys have no offensive line. This shit sucks. Basically, Travis Frederick is basically dying slowly there. I think this is his last year. If he is feeling like this team is not going nowhere, maybe he looks for a trade. But I think he wants to. retire a Cowboy. This is just embarrassing. You're 3-6, 34-6 at your own house. That is just awful. Jalen Hurts didn't even do much. 14 for 20, 202, 10.1 yards, a completion, 2 touchdowns, a pick, which was Trayvon Diggs on in the end zone. Really good pick. 5 sacks for 46 yards, which is bad. 57.9 QBR, 115 passer rating. Saquon Barkley went 14 for 66. First time he doesn't go for 100 in the last 3 or 4 games. So they held him in check. Jalen Hurts went 7 for 56, 2 touchdowns. I think it was one a tush push and the other one he ran in the fourth. Even Kenny Pickett got into this game. Will Shipley went 9 for 34. Kenneth Gainwell went 7 for 30. A.J. Brown went 5 catches for 109. 21.8 yards a catch. That's insane. On 7 targets, Jahan Dotson made an appearance, 1 for 27 yards on 1 target. Dallas Goedert went 2 for 25 and a touchdown on 3 targets. Devontae Smith went 2 for 14 on 3 targets, which is bad for him. Saquon only caught 1 ball for 12 yards. Johnny Wilson was the one that caught a ball for 5 yards and one of the touchdowns, the rookie from FSU. Fumble by Jalen Hurts, lost by Jalen Hurts. Zach Bond recovered a fumble. Milton Williams recovered a fumble. Reed Blankenship recovered a fumble. And Cooper DeJean recovered a fumble. Their defense gave them 3 sacks. 0.5 by Jalen Carter. 0.5 by Brandon Graham. And Bryce Huff, I believe that was his first sack as an Eagle, if I'm not mistaken. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got a pick. And then as for the Cowboys, this is going to be hilarious. 13 for 23, 45 yards passing. Cooper Rush. 2 yards average an attempt. 1 sack, 10 yards, 16.4 QBR, a 61.7 passer rating. Trey Lance came in. He was 4 for 6 for 21 yards. Net passing yards for the Cowboys for a 60-minute game. 49 yards. Absolute dog shit. Awful. Rico Dowdle went 12 for 53. Ezekiel Elliott fumbled. 6 for 22. Ezekiel Elliott plus the fumble. Just can't run at all. He's done. He should be done. Jake Ferguson went 4 for 24 on 5 targets. CeeDee Lamb was 6 for 21. 6 for 21 on 10 targets. Just dink and dunking. Jalen Tolbert, 3 for 14 on 5 targets. Cooper Rush fumbled twice, lost both fumbles. Ezekiel fumbled basically at the goal line and lost it. Jake Ferguson fumbled, lost it. And then Marist Liufau recovered a fumble. Their defense gave them 5 sacks. 2 by Demarion Overshawn on blitzes. Micah Parsons got 2, so he got back into his ways. Carl Lawson got half, and Ozzie Odigozua got half a sack. Trayvon Diggs, the pick in the end zone. Just a beatdown. Just an absolute, a beatdown. It was a beatdown quick. Like, it was not pretty at the beginning. 7-3, 14-6. 28-6, and then add another 6, just a good measure. 34-6, just awful. Jets Cardinals 31-6 in Phoenix. The Kyler Murray show. And this defense playing really well against this Jets team. I thought the Jets was going to win. Boy, was I wrong. This team, another one. Laughing stock. Did everything possible. Devontae Adams. Got Lazard. Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall. Fired the coach, which affected your defense. You guys are garbage now. Scheme-wise, not player-wise. Just awful. Awful top to bottom. This is another team you blow up. Quick. Another team that should be looking for a quarterback in the draft. Shador, Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, Riley Leonard, Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers, somebody that's not Aaron Rodgers. Okay, he doesn't look like he's happy. He looks like he wants to retire. I mean, the offense is not clicking at all with the amount of talent this shit has. Aaron Rodgers went 22 for 35, 151, 4.3 yards an attempt, 3 sacks, 23 for 23 yards, 23.8 QBR, a rating of 72.4. This shit's over. Breece Hall went 10 for 52, 17 carries as a team for 79 yards, 35 passes. Not a lot of balance, but they were getting blown out, so you understand. Garrett Wilson went 5 for 41 on 6 targets after going great last week. Breece Hall went 4 for 31 on 4 targets. Devontae Adams got 13 targets and got 6 for 31. 6 for 31 on 13 targets. Okay? Jeremy Rucker went 2 for 17, and that was pretty much it. Aaron Rodgers lost a fumble. Their defense gave him 1 sack coming from Quincy Williams. No picks. As for the Cardinals, number 1, 6-4, AFC West leading Cardinals. Kyler Murray, 22 for 24, almost perfect. 266 yards, 11.1 yards an attempt, a touchdown to Marvin Harrison Jr. Beautiful fade ball, inside slot fade. Just put the ball exactly where it needed to be. Pretty easy pitch and catch. 1 sack for 7 yards, 95.9 QBR, almost perfect. 126.7 passer rating. Trey Benson went 10. The rookie out of FSU went 10 for 62 on the ground. James Conner went 12 for 33 and a touchdown. Kyler Murray ran 2 touchdowns in, 3 for 21. Just showed off the wheels. James Conner was his leading receiver, 5 for 80 on 5 targets. Trey McBride, 4 for 71 on 5 targets. Marvin Harrison Jr., 5 for 54 on 5 targets. Kyler Murray fumbled and recovered. Kaiser White recovered a fumble, and their defense gave him 3 sacks, 1 by Budda Baker, 1 by Jesse Luketa, and 1 by Xavier Thomas. No picks. 31-6, 3-7 Jets. It is over. It is time to call the demolition team. Woody Johnson got some decisions to do in this offseason. I don't think Ulbrich is the coach in the future. I don't know if you go get Bill Belichick. I don't know if you go get Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. I don't know who you want. Bobby Slowick. I don't know who you want, but you need to fix it because this shit was a dumpster fire and kept being more of a dumpster fire as the season went on. Lions beat the Texans in Sunday Night Football 26-23 after the Lions have a 22 to, it was basically 23-7 at halftime. And then the Lions came back. Texans were playing really well, but without Nico Collins playing this game, well, he was a game-time decision. He was inactive. Eventually, the Lions got it going on defense and then got it going on offense. They're still considered, I think, to me, second best team in the NFL. However, best team in the NFL, if you just look at total roster construction, I think that they're best team in the NFL. Yes, I love the Chiefs, but, you know, the injuries there hurt them. Jared Goff went 15 for 30, 240, 8 yards an attempt, 2 touchdowns, 5 picks. There were 7 picks in total between CJ and Jared Goff. Most of them happened in the third quarter in a span of like 4 minutes. It was insane. It was back and forth. Pick City. 0 sacks, 21.1 QBR, 59.7 rating. They won on a game-winning field goal by Bates after Kaimi Fairbairn missed a 58-yarder, just shanked it, gave the ball to the Lions at the 48-yard line of the Lions. A little Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs, and got into 52-yard range, and Bates, you know, sneaked it through, just like he sneaked the one to tie the game. Jahmyr Gibbs went 19 for 71. David went 12 for 32. They ran the ball 32 times for 105 yards, so not a lot. They passed the ball 30 times, so pretty good balance. Sam Laporta went 3 for 66, a touchdown on 6 targets. Amon-Ra went 6 for 60 on 8 targets and a touchdown. Jamison Williams went 3 for 53 on 5 targets, so not a lot of success on the passing game, but did enough. 15 for 240 as a team in the pass. David Montgomery fumbled and recovered it. Their defense gave him 4 sacks. Just kept going after CJ. Aleem McNeil got a sack. Josh Pascal got a sack. Pat O'Connor got a sack. And James Houston got a sack. Carlton Davis got 2 picks. One off a tip and then an actual pick of him. They were just resilient. Detroit finds a way to win when you're a winning program and you have a culture and you expect to win and you put in the work to win. Good things happen to you. As for the Texans, 6-4, tough loss. They should have won this at home. 19 of 33 for CJ, 232, 7 yards an attempt, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 4 sacks for 40 yards, 33 QBR, a 64.2 rating. Joe Mixon, 25 for 36, 1.8 yards a carry. Really stout Detroit defense. 1 touchdown for Joe Mixon at the beginning of the game. And then John Mechie, surprising, 5 for 74, was their leading rusher and a touchdown on 6 targets. Dalton Schultz, 3 for 66 on 4 targets. Joe Mixon, 2 for 44 on 4 targets. Tank Dell, 5 for 39 on 9 targets. Just couldn't connect with him on the long ball. CJ Stroud fumbled. Titus Howard recovered. Their defense gave him 0 sacks. They picked off Jared Goff. Kamari Lassiter, even though he left with a concussion, got 2 picks before he left. Jimmy Ward got a pick. Henry To'oTo'o got a pick off a tip. And Kalen Bullock got a pick. So first team since 1970 to be down 15 in the second half, have 5 picks, and still win. 1970, the Lions. Bad play calling at the end there. They should have, the Texans should have tried to get closer. 58, it's just too long. I know Kaimi's been hitting them, but you got to get closer. You got to get a chunk, at least to put it in the 40-yard range where it's a little bit more safe. But Detroit gets it done. We went in our predictions. We went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so we went 8-6, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8-5. So still positive, pretty good. Still got to wait for tonight. Could possibly go 9-5 or 8-6. Dolphins Rams. I'm going with the Rams, even though Tyreek is healthy and going. If we lose this, we're 2-7. We're also done. I think the Rams want to win this game at home to keep pace with 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals in that AFC West race. Puka Nacua should play. I know Cooper Kupp is playing. Also, they have Kyron Williams. That defensive line with Byron Young, Braden Fisk, and Jared Verse is finally coming into form. So I think just the Rams are just going to be a little bit too much for the Dolphins. But maybe we win. Who knows? But I got the Rams. The Rams are 2-point favorites. 49.5 is the over-under. And Miami's a plus 115 underdog. Let's finish it off with the NBA real quick. Actually, let's look at the standings for NFL before we go to the NBA. Buffalo basically won the AFC East. They're 8-2, and the Jets are 3-7. That shit's over. Pittsburgh is 7-2. Baltimore 7-3. In the AFC North, it's going to come down to their 2 final games. One upcoming this week in Pittsburgh, and then later in Baltimore. I think that's what's going to decide this division. If not, it's going to be Pittsburgh versus the Bengals. That probably decides it if they lose that game. Houston is 6-4. Indy's 4-6. Tennessee's 2-7, and Jax is 2-8. I don't think Indy has a shot of getting this division. AFC South is basically done. Houston just has to basically play 500 football, and they win the division. AFC West is 9-0. KC 6-3. Chargers. Denver's 5-5, and the Las Vegas Raiders are done 2-7. Potentially 3 playoff teams from this division. I think that KC is basically 2 or 3 wins away from locking up the 1 seed. If they stay 10, 11, and 0, I believe that they could possibly just lock up the 1 seed before we even get into December. The Chargers should be able to lock in a wild card spot, or the first wild card spot in the AFC. Because actually, Baltimore right now would have the number 1, so they would have the number 6 wild card spot, and then it would be between Cincinnati and Cincinnati would be. I mean, Cincinnati and Indy right now, so Indy still has a shot. Or Denver has the one-way track to that last wildcard spot right now. In the NFC, you got Philly and the Washington Commanders, 7-2, 7-3. Philly took the lead after the Washington Commanders loss and the Philly win. Dallas is done at 3-6. New York is done at 2-8. So Washington and Philly are making the playoffs for sure. In the NFC North, you got Detroit at 8-1, Minnesota at 7-2, Green Bay at 6-3. Chicago, I think, is done at 4-5, unless they right the ship somehow. But I think you could also get 3 playoff teams from this division. And the wild card, Atlanta 6-4, Tampa Bay's 4-6. There might be a battle there, but Atlanta, if they just play 500 football, they can lock up this division as well. So there's not much competition there, especially Carolina 3-7, New Orleans 3-7, and Atlanta's the only. They have a 4-game lead essentially, on in record wise, in this division. And then the NFC West, Arizona 6-4, San Francisco 5-4, the Rams 4-4, and the Seattle Seahawks 4-5. It's going to be a battle between them and the NFC North of who gets the wild card spots. Right now, I think it's going to be Minnesota, Green Bay, and that last wild card spot will probably be San Francisco, if I had to guess. That leaves the Rams out, Seattle out. Actually, no, Washington, wild card spot. Minnesota, because they're both 7-2 and 7-3, so that's 2 wild card spots right there. And Green Bay would be right now those 3. So that leaves San Francisco out for the first time in a long time. Wow, that would be crazy, but that's what we're looking at right now. All right, now let's go to the NBA real quick. Talk about these standings, talk about these injuries. Cleveland still 11-0. Evan Mobley and Darius Garland have figured it out. Kenny Atkinson was a great hire. They're just going to keep rolling, I believe, because their defense is really good. Their offense is in the interior with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. You can still kick it out to Donovan Mitchell. He can cook. And, of course, Darius Garland's hitting his shot this year. Boston's 9-2, lost to the Warriors. Interesting, at their house in Boston. Pacers are 5-5. Like, it's a drop-off. It's 11-0 Cleveland. Boston's at 9-2. And then it's 5-5 Indiana. Orlando's 5-6. New York is 4-5. Miami's 4-5. Brooklyn, after the hot start, are 4-6. Chicago's 4-6. Charlotte's 4-6. Detroit's 4-7. Atlanta's 4-7. Washington 2-6. Philly's 2-7. Milwaukee an abysmal 2-8. And Toronto 2-9. I don't know what's going on in Milwaukee. I don't know if they can figure it out. Doc, Dame, Giannis is not happy. Philly's just not healthy. Maybe they'll pick it up. It's still a long season. We're still at the beginning of the season relatively, but right now it looks like it's going to be Cleveland and Boston fighting for that 1 seed for the whole year, unless people start. Orlando's hurt because Paolo, so they're not going to get him back, and Indiana's playing really well with Benedict Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton at the moment. New York has to pick up their stride with Cat and everything. Miami, we got to do something at the deadline, whether it's Levine or going after somebody else. Brooklyn's been showing good, but at the same time have lost 6 in a row after being 4-0. I've lost 2 in a row after starting off hot. I think 3-0 they started. Chicago is Chicago. I don't think Lonzo's playing right now. I think he's hurt again. but I think he's going to play tonight maybe. Charlotte, love LaMelo Ball, love Brandon Miller. They're just young. Detroit 4-7, love Cade, love Asar. He's cleared from the blood clot issue. Love Jalen Duren, love Jaden Ivey. They're just young. Atlanta, love Reese Shea. He looks good. Jalen Johnson looks even better this year. Trey Young looks pretty good, but, it's just tough. And then Washington, Philadelphia's hurt. Milwaukee's who knows. And Toronto, I love Grady Dick, but they don't have much else. Phoenix is number 1 in the West, 8-2. OKC's 8-2. Golden State is 8-2. Denver's 7-3. Memphis is 7-4. Josh hurt for I believe 2 to 4 weeks. He has strains in his hip. Then you have the Lakers at 6-4. Houston's at 6-4. Minnesota's at 6-4. Clippers are at 6-4. Sacramento are 6-4. So you got from 1 to 3, all 8-2. Then you got 7-3 Denver, 7-4 Memphis, and then 7 through 9 are all 6-4. So it's going to be a battle to the end, just like we expected. Just exciting. Dallas is outside looking in right now, 5-5. San Antonio's 4-6. New Orleans, Zion's hurt again with a hamstring. He's going to be out a couple weeks. 3-7. With no Jordan Hawkins no, I think Hawkins is playing. I think he's still hurt. Trey Murphy's still hurt. Herb Jones is still hurt. Yeah, the whole team is basically hurt. Portland's 3-8. They got to start Scoot if they want to start developing. Utah's 2-7. Isaiah Collier got his first, I believe, start yesterday, but they're just young as well. Yeah, and so Zion's hurt with a hamstring strain. John Morant hurt with a hip strain. 1 and 2, the last, I think, 4 years ago, draft class, super hype. Was supposed to be the face of the NBA, both of them, and they've been hurt, in trouble, distracted. One's overweight for a lot of his career and hurt. The other one's doing stupid shit off the court. They need to figure it out. They're still young, but they need to figure it out because, this is year 5. They both got super max extensions. It's time to put up or shut up, stop getting hurt, be in shape, and play. You got to lead your teams. Chet, really big injury. He's out 8 to 10 weeks with a fractured pelvic bone after a nasty fall, going for a rebound. That's going to hurt OKC. It's going to be an SGA and J-Dub show now. Aaron Wiggins as well. More Isaiah Joe. Cason Wallace, I expect to step up. No Hardenstein yet. He's also hurt. So we'll see what they do at that center spot. Maybe Jeng or something like that. KD, calf strain, another thing. Probably Devin Booker and Bradley Beal going to up the take in the points department. He should be out. KD should be out maybe 1 to 2 weeks, maybe depending on the strain, because he also had the Achilles issue that he tore when he was in Golden State, so he has to watch that. But it's an exciting season so far. It's still young, but I like what I'm seeing. Just the East is kind of all over the place, especially at the top. It's kind of top heavy. The West is really evened out, but we'll see. We'll see what happens as the season goes on. The tournament starts today, so we'll see. We'll talk about that in the next episode. We'll also talk about the finalists for the MLB awards that came out. They came out today, so we'll touch on that in the next episode as well. My predictions for the NCAA Formula One, which is going to Las Vegas this upcoming weekend. Probably Verstappen, if he finishes in front of Lando Norris, he can win his 4th championship in a row and tie Sebastian Vettel for the most championship as a Red Bull driver. And we'll also break down the NFL weekend. I love you guys. Like, subscribe, comment. Thank you for all the support. God bless you, and I'll leave you all with the outro.
Que todos quieren ser el chamaquito que no puede